Hello friends, it's Vervain, and this might be a bit of a stretch to call this Junk Journal January Day 9. It's also a tongue twister to call it Junk Journal January Day 9, which the prompt is foliage. But I wanted to post this and I wanted to do Junk Journal January, and I'm choosing to fit this into that prompt because there is actually a lot of foliage in what I'm doing here, not least on these botanical dyed papers, but also on a lot of the imagery that I'm using. But let me just tell you what I'm doing here. I did originally shoot this video talking in real time, which is why I don't know, I showed you the old journal a minute ago, like I was explaining something, because I was explaining something. I'm going to explain that now, which is I wanted to do Junk Journal January. My God, who names these things? And I don't have a journal ready for it. Like, I don't want to just do a journal just for Junk Journal January. What I really want to do is work in my new journal for the new year. But as it happens, my old journal, which is what I was showing you at the beginning of the video, is pretty much full. Like, there's a little writing space left, but it's got a big gator mouth situation going on. And I always kind of intended that to be pretty much for 2023, give or take, and to make another one for this year. So I'm going to do that. I just haven't done that yet. So that's what we're doing now, actually, is we are picking out the pages for my journal. And I'm just kind of going through everything, and this here is the Audubon book, which I came into my possession when I was visiting my mother last year. Actually, I walked into her house and it was sitting on the dryer, and I was like, "What's this?" Because it's like, it doesn't say on the cover, and so I just said out loud, "What's this?" as I'm opening it. I'm like, "Whoa, it's really cool." And she's like, "Oh yeah, you can have that if you want." I felt a little bad accepting it, knowing that I was just going to take it home and tear it apart for this sort of thing, but not that bad. And then later on that same visit, I was down in her basement, and I thought I was like seeing double or hallucinating or losing my fucking mind, because sure enough, this book was down in the basement. And I went and checked, and the one she said I could have was still up on the nightstand next to my luggage. So she just did, in fact, have 2 antique copies of the Audubon book, and I no longer felt bad at all about taking one of them to use for just such purposes as these. This is the pile here from the Fairy Tale Junk Journal that I just made, all the stuff that was like left from that, and I had pulled at the end, I had pulled one page like out of it, trying to make it not so fucking chunky. It didn't really work. I kind of went through the whole thing hoping to find multiple pages that I could pull out, and I only found one. But I did decide that I actually liked the journal better without it, so pulling it out, and we're going to use it here. It's the one with the Godey's Ladies book. And then this is just me going through my stash of pretty plain papers. We got some vellum, we got some cotton rag, we got some weird stationery that, like, for whatever reason is blank on the side that you wouldn't write the address on, and then is totally printed on the side that you would write the address on. But I think it's kind of cool for junk journaling, because you can glue down the back or use it as a tip-in, and the front can be extra writing space. Anyhow, yeah, I think I was looking for my other paper organizer, and that was the only thing I pulled out, and then I immediately decided that I actually didn't want to use it. This is a little, it's kind of cool, actually. It's stationery that, like, folds up into an envelope, as you will see right here. I decided since I got it out, I would just fold it up. But I have, like, a whole pad of these things. And I don't use them that much because honestly it's like really thin paper. So if you want to like send, if you want to send anything in the envelope, it's not really sturdy enough for that. And if you want to write with a thick pen, it doesn't like, or like a, serious ink, it's not really good for that. So I don't use them for much, but I do think they're really cool. And then we've got, so yeah, here I'm just going through and folding all the papers in half and kind of deciding which way I want them to go. And you know what? This is boring. Let's skip ahead. Okay, so yeah, I had some pages left over from the fairy tale book that didn't make it into the fairy tale junk journal. And I thought it would be cool to put one of those in this journal as like a way of kind of commemorating that project in that book. And I really like this page as well. And then there was a little page from the Nightingale that it wasn't the whole leaf. It was just the one page. So I folded that in half. That became a miniature page. Yeah, the only thing about the fairy tale ones is it's just bigger pages than what I want this to be. So I am just trimming it down here and coming to terms with the fact that I'm going to lose just the very edge of the text. But you know what? It's a junk journal. Who the fuck cares? Not me anymore. And then all these Audubon pages were just a hair too big. So I kind of had to make some decisions about how I wanted to do that. And the first one that I did, I made kind of a weird decision. I did want to keep the text, but I realized that I could have chopped like a little bit of empty space off the bottom and a little more empty space off the top and not had to chop anything weird. I don't know. Which is, I think, what I did for the other ones after that. But, yeah. So, yeah, here, these ones, I didn't care so much about the text, actually, so I just chopped off the bottom text. I kept the names of the birds, but the details are gone. I really, really love these, and I think they're going to be really beautiful in the journal. Actually, I know they are, because as I'm recording this voiceover, I've already seen it. But yeah, these Audubon and I think if you like these Audubon images, I haven't looked myself, but I think that they're online for free because they're in the public domain. So I think that you can find them online and print them out if you want them. I do love the texture of old book pages, and I love the aged look and everything, so I do really love getting to use these originals. And also, excuse me, I'm kind of tired. Also, my printer is just not that good. This is some William Morris wallpaper, or like gift wrap. It was from a book of gift wrap that we got at the Huntington Library. And I had coffee dyed, or tea dyed. I guess it was tea dyed that William Morris paper, because the back was just like white. And yeah, I only did a couple of those because it was an experiment, but I really like how it turned out, so I want to go back and do more of those. These are coffee dyed papers that I used vinyl lace placemats as kind of a resist on. And then the ones with like roses and stuff, I used stencils as a resist. So the vinyl placemat is the stencil, or the stencil is the stencil. Yeah, and I'm really pleased with how, I don't know if resist is exactly the right term, but you can look up tutorials on like how to do lace coffee dyed paper, and it'll probably show you exactly what I did. And then these coloring pages and some of the other, pink and orange pages in here, I think, to the best of my recollection, are dyed with Starbucks passion tea, which is mostly hibiscus. So if you just have hibiscus, you can get the same effect. But I had like one dye bath in a Pyrex baking dish, and it was really shallow, so I was just doing a couple sheets at a time. But I ended up doing it like over a couple days, and the later ones, like this here, the staff paper, came out orange. And so I think that's what's messing with my memory, because I really, for the longest time, I was like, I don't know what these are dyed with. And I think it's just because some of them were orange, and I wouldn't expect passion tea to make orange, and so it just threw me off. And then that diamond thing was like, I think I had cut that out to use as a stencil to spray other things with, but as I was going through my stuff to pull out pages, it just called to me and it said, I want to be used for this project. So we're using it for this project. And these are more botanical dyed papers. This I used like Constant Comment tea and a bunch of like wildflowers and leaves and plants from my backyard back when I lived at Cottonwood Cottage. Those are dewberry leaves that printed so well. Yeah, dewberry leaves. I'm just kind of deciding there if I wanted to like keep that as a centerfold and have all of those together, or it's so hard to decide what things you want to be centerfolds because so many of the pages are so beautiful when it's the whole thing. But also, you know, you can only have so many centerfolds. And then here, yeah, I'm going through just deciding what I want to keep. That big giant rose I did not fold in half because I think I'm going to use it as my end papers, like on the inside of the cover. And then that one with the purple flowers that I set off to the left, I decided not to use for this journal. This bridge I did end up using in this journal. And it's just a little smaller than the other pages, so I was just deciding how I wanted to fill it. I have no idea what I was trying to show you there. Oh yeah, I got this Thomas Kinkade book at the thrift store recently and just took the whole thing apart. I'm not really like a Thomas Kinkade on the wall kind of gal, but I am absolutely a Thomas Kinkade in my junk journal kind of gal. So here we are, and I did end up selecting a bunch of these for my junk journal. I really love how this botanical dyed paper turned out, and I'm like I want to go through it before I make a bunch more because I already am having a storage problem with my papers and craft supplies. So I'm trying to like make more journals actually so I can go through a lot of my backstock of stuff. Which I think I'm doing pretty well. I've almost finished the fairy tale junk journal. As I'm recording this voiceover, I've at least assembled the pages for like I've assembled the signatures for my 2024 junk journal. And then I actually have on my little crafting cart and on my bookshelf I think I have 2 full junk journals worth of assembled signatures. One of them is like fairy themed, and the other one, I don't know what it is, actually. I haven't gotten it out of its envelope. I'll have to check it out. Oh, yeah. I got out my big pre-Raphaelite book because I just felt like I needed more images, and I knew that there were some things in here that were like, I kept wanting to use them in collage, but they were like way too big for the kinds of collages I was wanting to do. This worked out really well. This was the centerfold of this signature in this pre-Raphaelite book. So I was able to keep this image whole and just fold it differently. So I'm using that as a centerfold in my junk journal. Very excited about that. Yeah, so there's a bunch of pieces in this book that are just like too big for the sort of collage that I usually do. And some of them... Man, I really need to get to bed right after this. Some of them are actually, like I might actually just frame them and put them on my wall because I like them that much. But this one, this Lancelot and this lovely lady by the sea definitely had to go in. And then this one definitely has to go in my junk journal. This one I decided to do as like a centerfold where you sew in the bottom half as part of your signature and then keep it so that the top half of it can fold up and down. I don't know if that makes sense, but you'll see it later. That one I almost tore out, but I decided I might put it on my wall. This one I did tear out, and then I got really mad about how Miranda folded when I folded Ophelia in half, so I didn't use her. I thought really hard about Cersei there. I thought really hard about a couple of those, and just decided against them for this particular journal. I pulled it out. I was just mad that they put 2 such good pictures right on either side of the same sheet of paper, and made me make awful decisions like that. These, okay, so my mom has used one of these every year for as long as I can remember. And I thought of it a while back because I came across some teapot imagery in a book I was taking apart, and I thought, I could make a tea-themed junk journal. And so I just texted my mom, like, hey, do you have any of those old teapot calendars laying around that you're not using? And she just texted me back, I never throw them away. And then, like, that was just, like, the end of the conversation. And then, like, 2 weeks later, like, 20 years of teapot calendars arrives on my front doorstep. Literally, like, I just pulled the top 3 off the pile to go through here to pick out a couple. But you can see it goes back to 2004. So I'm not kidding when I say literally 20 years of teapot calendars. Yeah. Oh, this is me deciding, like, I feel like the border is really charming and I don't want to lose it, but also this is just too big for my journal. So what do I do? Well, this is what I do. I fold it over and I decide I'm going to make it a pocket later. And I'm actually pretty pleased with that decision. That one I chose to keep as a centerfold. This one I also used, but I decided it actually looked really good. I think you'll see at the end here of whatever I decide. I decided it actually looked really good, even split in half. So I did not keep that one as a centerfold. This one I was struggling because I didn't really want to lose the jewels at the bottom of the picture or the bottom of the teapot. And I also really didn't want to lose the top of the fan or too much of the roses. So I ended up losing the jewels and then losing just a little bit of the roses, but keeping the fan and keeping the foot of the teapot. And that's just how it went. And then this one, I did the same thing with the pocket, or tuck spot or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what I was talking about here. Oh, this is the end of the video. Love you guys. Bye.